Best game ever. This is a little bit about me, actually, just so you understand my background. I'm actually 21 years old. I graduated college early, 4 years early. I'm not one of those who dropped out, in case you were wondering. But the reason why I was able to skip was that I played so much games. I'm kidding. That was actually the one reason why I didn't skip the more grades. But the game helped me actually in many ways do this. And for those of you who are also nerds in the audience, will notice that this is the lens flare filter in Photoshop. So by playing Counter-Strike and using the sniper rifle to be extremely accurate, I was able to design on Photoshop more efficiently and more quickly. So playing games helps you be a better designer. Yes, yes. And that's what I did, and that's my background as well. I taught myself how to design in Photoshop, and then I ended up going into business school. And that's what I learned when I was in college. And then I moved down to San Francisco at the tender age of 18 to work at a company called Dig. And some of you may have heard of Dig. For those who may have not heard of them, they are a social news website that helps people sort of create a front page news rather than having an editor choose it for you. It was a democratic news model. Now Dig, I sort of talk about it in past tense because unfortunately the best days of Dig are long behind them, and I unfortunately lost my job, and that's how I ended up starting this company. So I'm a failure. I lost my job. That's great. That's why I'm here on stage. But this was actually the beer fridge at Dig, and at the time I wasn't legal to drink. Then we noticed that there was this dynamic, called the achievement moment, which is when you're happy. You feel like you've accomplished something. You're like, yay! You're like, yay! You're really happy. It's this E moment. It's an emotional high. And so my theory was, okay, what if we could reward people with real things after they've hit these achievements? Pretty cool, right? Now, the theory was great. What happened in reality, right? It's been a year now. Oh, and these are some of the brands that have worked with us now. We're very excited to continue to expand to more bigger, consumer-oriented, top-tier brands. So the result was this. You have these rewards that come in when you hit an achievement in a game, and you're like, yeah, I just got $5 off of American Apparel. I got my $5 gift certificate to Best Buy. I've got a free bag of pot chips. I've got my free flowers for my Mother's Day. I've got Carl's Jr. so I can get fat. All sorts of things, right? There's all sorts of things that you can win by being in these moments of achievement. And there are all these serendipitous moments of achievement. So we decided not to make it so that it was expected, where I'd say, hey, go to level 10 and then get this reward. That we felt would remove you when you were younger. Actually, you guys all look very young, so I'm sure you still do this. After you go partying, what do you normally feel like eating? If it's really late in the evening, McDonald's, right? Everybody goes straight to McDonald's. You want the greasy food, you're shoving it, you're just, super hungry, and you're just eating all this greasy food you would never eat. Now, McDonald's is really good at this. McDonald's, for its entire marketing history, is really good at tapping into what normally happens already, right? What is an existing human behavior? The Monopoly game is a perfect example of this. You're gonna go and buy McDonald's stuff anyways. You may not win anything when you take out those stickers, but you might win something, and it happens to be an extra layer of excitement added to an existing pattern of behavior already. And so when you find what people are already doing rather than trying to change it, it makes it a lot easier for you so that you don't have to completely invent an entirely new process. Now, the insight that we had at Cube was very simple. People are already playing these things in the tens of millions of times every second of every day. Now, we could simply be a part of this pattern that would be fascinatingly and interestingly successful in the way that we can market to them. Now, when you're creating your business, what are the things that people are doing already that you can leverage rather than trying to make something new out of it? Now, new behaviors will always emerge. But for example, I just came back from a business trip to China. I just came in from Shanghai yesterday. Now, China is such a massive market. Any company that's tried to spend billions to change the behavior of the Chinese people have failed miserably. And the reason is you can't change 1.whatever billion people's behaviors at the same time. There's no way you can do that. So by sheer size of the world today, you are futile. It's futility for you to try to change someone's behavior. Number 2, engage meaningfully. Now, what do we mean by going through an engagement that is meaningful to the user. Now, this in the background is a picture of what is Nike's women's marathons. So those of you who are women in the audience, all two of you, who run in these marathons, realize that Nike is creating a very value-added engagement with you by creating an event that encompasses the product, which is running and healthy living and lifestyle, all that stuff. But they're doing it in a way where they're throwing these marathons so that you actually end up having value at the same time. You're going to run these marathons, you're going to feel successful, and Nike's going to be able to engage with you that way. Now, that's what's been incredibly powerful with the way that certain brands have marketed themselves, is not by trying to abuse the user's engagement, but to actually try to do it in a meaningful way, to add value back. Now, a key, of course, the obvious value proposition was around rewards. How do you leverage rewards, and how do you use the value add to give it back in a reciprocal way? Not to bribe people, but to thank them. And so I realized that when you think about rewards, there's a very interesting sentiment. There are a lot of companies that abuse this. A lot of companies claim that you get rewards all the time, and at the end of the day, it's not really money. You actually just gave up your soul, or your social security number, your credit card number, or some personal detail that it ends up being used against you. We felt that it was incredibly powerful to not abuse that, but to rather use what people were already appreciating, the authenticity of the engagement, and then branding it. So with all the rewards that we put out there actually ended up being branded, so that people actually know who to yell at if they're unhappy, right? You'll never see an ad mob ad, branded ad mob, because you will yell at them if you know who's actually coming from, right? It's very cool. Number 3, identify emotional highs. For those of you on the other side, I apologize ahead of advance, but of course the Italians won yesterday, the football match. I did want to say, this is an emotional high for those of you who are Italians. And as you realize, leveraging these emotional highs is incredibly powerful, and again, leveraging the game great. We are all very competitive animals as human beings. Sorry for calling you animals, but we are. We're very competitive. And when there's an emotional high attached to something, we're definitely a lot more receptive to messaging. We're definitely a lot more open to different types of suggestions in general. Now, this is not leveraging it in an evil way. You have to have some kind of moral fiber when you're doing this. And unfortunately, a lot of companies abuse this, aka casinos. But we decided, hey, why don't we do something that's actually going to leverage it but also benefit people at the same time, flowing from our last point. So trying to find this emotional high is actually not too hard, but being able to manage it properly and mining it as a natural resource that has to be respected. So if you let it up plowing a forest or mining the well dry, you're never going to have the same value sustainably over time. Make sure you try to make it in a sustainable way. Number 4, almost done. I know I'm almost out of time. Keep it simple. Now, a lot of people, keep. I know that's why the name's keep. Keep it simple. There is a lot of services out there that love to make you jump through hoops. Earn points here, compile all your points, sign up to our catalog, redeem them for rewards, do whatever you need to do to just jump through 18 different hoops to get something. People hate that shit. No one wants to jump through hoops. People want something simple. They want instant gratification. They want something that isn't delivered to them right to their mouth, but rather something that's simple and easy to understand. And so we realized that, of course in the background is the epitome of simplicity. I always love using this image to show this. It's the Apple TV remote, right? Compare that to any other TV remote control you've ever seen, and you'll understand how Apple's managed to make this such a simple and straightforward experience. And I think it's a very fine line between trying to be simple and trying to be effective. Now, being overly simplistic is very, very dangerous, but being, again, a part of what people's normal behavior patterns are is very important. People's normal behavior patterns are not going around scrambling to grab points and redeeming them in catalogs. That's not what people do. Find the natural behavior pattern and keep it simple. Last, create a two-way connection. And what I mean by this is two-way between you and the customer, and then also the customer and other customers. That's why it's X times 2, right? We might have supposed to say 4-way, but I just want to do 2-way times 2 just for the hell of it. But you basically want to create this two-way connection so that the consumer knows that you're listening to them. And then enabling them to connect with other people and be social about this is really the fundamental core value of what social really is. How do you make something worth sharing? So at Keep, what we did was we enabled people to actually gift their rewards. It was an amazing experiment that ended up resulting in something very fascinating to us, which was rewards are inherently social. You want to pass it along. You want to pay it forward. People are genuinely very good at heart. I have that numbers to prove it. And so we realized that when you see people gifting, it becomes a much more heartwarming process that is less about being transactional, just trying to mine something for its value, but about trying to bring value and spread it. So of course, the last message I left last year was to feel or die. It's still the same. So don't forget to feel. Understand what your emotions are in your consumers, and understand how to tap into it, or your company will die. Thank you very much.